So, those who've been keeping up with my story on Facebook know the most recent news from last Thursday about how I finally was emailed by someone from WESPA, who was the Secretary, Carol Johnsen, telling me that if I show up to the World Scrabble Championship in Accra, Ghana, they will have me carted off the premises. And this is the first contact I've had of any kind from WESPA since I have been apparently banned. When they first banned me, as I reported in earlier videos, they did not talk to me. They just decided to ban me behind my back, notifying directors and players and national associations about it. And that was back in mid-June. So already several months later, when they finally deigned to contact me, it was to tell me that, yeah, we're going to get you physically carried off the premises if you dare enter our space. And I wrote a Facebook post about this that I will link to in the description of this video, but I don't really have intention to talk a whole lot about that right now. I don't actually have intention to talk about anything other than what life has been like with PTSD. This is the first time I'm coming to make one of these videos with really no agenda or script or plan of the particular things I want to talk about. I just feel like I need to talk. I need to express what I'm going through. So this has been dragging on for 8 years now. This really started in 2017 with, I understand, the Clinchies getting upset over my communications to Jennifer before the New Orleans tournament and this massive overreaction that resulted in them bullying me for many years and excluding me and turning their friends against me, and Chris Light being a really active part of that, especially after 2020 when I first made my blog post about that. And really all that's been happening this entire time is I've been trying to play Scrabble. And these people are just obsessed with controlling my life and interfering with me playing Scrabble. And it's just amazing that it just keeps escalating. They keep doing these things because they've buried themselves so deep in lies, so deep in bad behavior. It seems to me they're just determined to keep this false narrative alive, because if it breaks down, then the whole rest of the world sees them for the abusers they are. And I just want to play the game. And the thing about this is that, like, I have been really angry at times, and Lola saw some of that when we were in a relationship together, when we were on good terms, and other friends of mine saw that, other family members of mine saw that, but those were the people who I was yelling with. It wasn't the people who were wronging me. It was, I knew for many, many years that I, had so many people turning on me and believing bad things about me and rumoring and gossiping about me, and that I couldn't show any negative emotion in front of them. I had to put on a good, strong face and just let it all brush off my back. But I tried to confide in people who I thought might help me with my situation. And it seems like everyone I tried to confide in, including immediate family members, just got more and more not wanting to deal with me and not liking the fact that I was so angry. But I mean, I think I had every right to be angry. My anger was not an overreaction. I've shaped my life for many years where Scrabble was the most important thing to me. Even when I was making a good living as a software developer, I was trying to reduce the amount I was working and actually take lower pay so that I would have more time to be able to study the dictionary and travel to tournaments. And it was my primary life goal, trying to win the world championship and do the best I could at this game. And these people took away what was most dear to me. But this is the thing, is that, like Lola, a lot of people who used to be on my side turned against me. And sometimes it was because they became more connected to the Clinchies and their crew, or they just wanted access to their tournaments. They wanted not to be excluded themselves. But I've had this just increasing pile-up effect of people abandoning me, of people turning against me sometimes and betraying me. And I'm just here fighting all by myself. But as I talked about in my, my family history video about my childhood abuse, I'm used to this. I'm used to the person who was supposed to be protecting me, protecting my home, protecting my family most of all, not doing her job and leaving it all to me to have to do all the work of fighting off the abuser, even when I'm getting undermined, even when people are going back on the decisions, like a restraining order against him. And I just can't stand the fact that nobody else will take an honest look at what is happening here and help fight with me against this abuse. I don't need people to just, give me a pat on the back and say nice things and comfort me. I need them to advocate for me. I need them to do something that actually makes a difference. And here I am just being my own self-advocate because nobody else will. Even the one guy I paid to be my advocate literally in the courts of law was completely terrible, completely undermined my case, and just really provided me a negative service in terms of really shitting the bed with my case and leading to me owing tons of legal fees to the people who broke the law to wreck my life rather than actually getting protected by the legal system and by him. The whole thing is ridiculous. I feel like every step of the way I try to do the right thing and I just keep getting punished for it. I try to fight off this abuse and I just keep getting more people and greater abuse against me. But I've tried to maintain my optimism no matter what. And one of the only things that's kept me going in the last year is my love of this game. And it is incredibly hard to put in all the work to learn the entire dictionary, even when you don't have all of this emotional abuse, all this banning from the game going against you. But it's especially hard when you don't even know if you're ever going to get to play in a tournament again, when you don't have anyone to play any over-the-board games with. And yet I've persisted over the last year in relearning the entire Scrabble dictionary, starting from the beginning with CSW 24, right in the beginning of 2025, going over all the 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8 letter words, getting myself to a new high point in terms of word knowledge and in terms of what I believe is my playing ability and my ability to perform. And I do believe that if I can play at the World Championship, I have a serious chance to win it. But I still am going to Ghana having no idea whether that's actually going to happen. And I wish someone other than me were actually helping me with this fight. We're standing up to my abusers. We're telling them, let Dave play in the tournament. Sign him up. Really, I mean, you've got this small handful of people on this WESPA board, not even all of whom are in agreement. I mean, I told you, like, in, Budapest, literally, the one person from the WESPA board I talked to was the guy, the Malaysian representative, who apologized to me about how the board was treating me. And I'm like, why do you let this small number of bullies win? If there are 30, 40, 50 of you who just go up to the director's table and say, Dave is playing in this tournament, you make it happen right now, you have more power than these fuckheads on the WESPA board. I don't care what their damn title is. They fucking have made it obvious that they're just horrible liars, horrible abusers every step of the way. And I feel like the only reason that isn't obvious is because there are so many of you who don't want to see people you like for being as terrible as they actually are, for having done the terrible things they've actually done. And again, I'm used to that. I'm used to my mother having a horribly abusive boyfriend who treated me terribly, who tore down my self-esteem, who demeaned me right in front of her, and who just acted like it wasn't happening, acted like it was normal behavior, acted like it was acceptable. And I'm sick of it. I know this is a very human trait of not wanting to see the people you like, the people you perceive to be in your tribe, as being bad people, and making excuses for them and distorting reality in your own head in order not to turn against them. I mean, that's what whole Trumpism is about and so much of our political age as well. But I honestly believe this is an attribute of humanity that needs to be completely eliminated. We all need to get to a point where we accept the objective truth more than we have loyalty to other people. And in fact, our loyalty to other people above the objective truth is, in my opinion, the root of all evil. That's exactly why there are evil societies. That's exactly why groups of people often do worse things than individuals do. Because we can be persuaded to be evil or to support evil or to be complicit in evil because we don't want to see the people in our tribe as being as horrible as they actually are. We don't want to see their abusive behavior as being as abusive as it actually is. And I'm sick of it. All I care about for the rest of my life is making sure people don't do this anymore, is making sure people do see the truth of the abuse against me and they stand up to it and they do something about it. And not just against me, against the world. We are in this political age fighting a time where so many people politically have just gotten so detached from reality, who don't care about reality anymore, who just define what is right and what is good by who's in their tribe and what's good for their tribe. And I believe this kind of thinking needs to be obliterated from the planet. And I'm fighting because I want to play this game, because I need it emotionally to fucking survive. But even if I don't succeed in that, if I do anything to make this world a more objective place and to disempower these liars, these abusers, these people who twist and manipulate the minds of other people and drum up this hatred in this way, and make one person's life easier who's been in a similar situation to mine, who's had the anger of the mob come after them and get in their way, and had people just believe completely false things about them, then I will have served some good purpose in the world. But really, I'm struggling here. I'm struggling every day of my life, and it is so damn hard. And I gotta tell you, like, literally, there are so many days while I'm alone here in my apartment that I can't stop thinking about this. I can't stop thinking about all the people who failed me, who haven't done right, who haven't stood up, who left me fighting this all on my own, who've refused to see what's happening to me or accept it. And I feel like I get so angry a lot of times when I'm all by myself. I just start screaming my lungs out. And it did, over a few years ago, really happened that several times I lost my voice for several days at a time because of that screaming. I started taking Xanax when I get into those screaming fits, and it does calm me down. It does help keep that in check. But I still got to the point of literally my landlord possibly threatening to get me evicted because of noise complaints for a while. And it wasn't just that. I have a downstairs neighbor in the apartment directly below mine who also has PTSD. And my screaming and yelling has been a big problem for him too. And it is the case, it's something that sets him off, and then he goes into a really bad mental state, and it becomes terrible for him as well. And he's been complaining to my landlord about it. And there was one particular day, just a few months ago, where I got so upset and started yelling, and he literally came upstairs and banged on my door, and I opened it up and faced him. It was the first time we ever saw each other face to face. And he was furious at me. He's an old guy. He's not anyone who's a physical threat to me. But he was furious about how hellish his life has been living in this building with me above him and creating all this noise. And I knew I was at fault here, that I was screaming, I was losing control, but I'm doing the best I can. And I told him, like, I'm taking medication for my PTSD. I'll keep readjusting it and all that. When I told him my PTSD, he said he didn't care. And he was right not to care. It wasn't his problem. His PTSD is his problem. He's entitled to have a life without having this kind of shouting happening right over his head. But so many times when you all are treating me this way, you don't see that that's the effect you're having. You're infringing on my life and my downstairs neighbor's life. You're putting so much emotional damage on me that it's putting chaos in both of our apartments, causing us both so much pain, causing our landlord so much pain too. And my landlord has been a saint. And I've opened up to him about this story. I've told him about when I'm going to the doctors and changing medications and this type of stuff. And he's been very understanding and very kind despite all of this stuff. And has gone above and beyond in trying to, like, keep me from not losing my home life in a lot of ways. But still, it's just absolutely terrible. And last Thursday morning, I woke up to that email from Carol Johnsen, and I was just stunned. I was like, these people are just so evil. There is no end to the doubling down they're going to do. There is no end to the just rejecting of reality, pretending that they are not abusing me, pretending they have any valid grounds for keeping me out, and just trying to keep this lie alive and trying to hide from the rest of the world what they're doing to me and make sure that I am never in the tournament spaces so other people can't see it, so other people can't hold them accountable for being the abusers they are. And I was feeling so defeated that day. I was feeling so miserable, so just completely out of wind, out of energy, out of anything. And I felt a little lucky that I had an exercise class a little later that day, that afternoon. I've been doing these exercise classes 2 or 3 days a week, and it is something that helps somewhat. But I'm also like, I've tweaked my back a few times. I've had a few injuries from it, from maybe pushing myself too hard. Nothing that was ever that serious before. It was just maybe, I was sore for a day and needed some ibuprofen. But on that particular Thursday, when I had that exercise class in the afternoon after having heard this from WESPA, I was just in a really bad mental state. At one point, I feel like I didn't even know if I could continue the class. I felt like I was going to vomit. And it wasn't like I was actually like physically sick or anything. It was just so much stress, so much agony from all of this. But I pushed through and I kept going and I did my class. But I also lifted weights that were maybe a little heavier than I should have, especially when I had an inclined pose where my back was bent over and I might have tweaked my lower back a bit. And at the same time, I told you this is not the first time that's happened. I didn't read too much into it, and just thought, oh, it was an ordinary thing. I'll take the ibuprofen. But then something happened on Friday while I was watching Game 1 of the World Series. I actually I had actually taken some Xanax earlier in the day to calm myself down because I was upset, and I had also taken some ibuprofen because of some of that back pain. But that was hours earlier. I was just lying on my couch relaxing and actually fell asleep for a little bit of time in the middle of the World Series, but I woke up right in the middle of that big sixth inning the Blue Jays had and watched them, their offense explode there. And after that inning was over, I got up to go to the bathroom, and I was literally just standing there at the toilet, and all of a sudden, while I was standing there, I just felt my whole body convulse. I lost strength in my legs. It was like I couldn't stand, I couldn't balance anymore, and I collapsed. And I fell on the ground. I fortunately didn't fall hard. I kind of sensed it was coming and managed to fall gradually. But I literally couldn't stand. I couldn't walk. When I tried to get back to my feet, it was like I had vertigo or something, or I don't know. I had no strength in my legs. I had no balance. And I literally had to crawl from my bathroom back to my living room here to this couch right behind me. And laid back down on the couch. And I had two close friends who have been around in the area and been there for me when I've needed them. And I wanted to try to text one or both of them to let them know that, like, hey, I just had this thing and I still can't stand and walk. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need to go to the emergency room or something. But it's hard to say whether I was actually mentally impaired or was just too stressed from the moment and had that damn tiny keyboard on the phone I couldn't manage. But like my attempts to actually type something in text message, I just wasn't even able to type a text message at that moment. So I ended up just calling my friends instead, and one of them didn't answer, and I had to leave a message. The other one I managed to get in touch with soon after. But while I'm sitting there, I'm trying to call my friends, and like even before I managed to get my friends on the phone, I'm thinking, oh my God, what if I do need to, go to an emergency room or someone needs to come in and rescue me? My door is locked to my apartment, and I need to go over to it to unlock it to make sure people can get in. But when I tried to stand up from the couch, I still couldn't stand. I still couldn't walk. So literally, having crawled all the way from the bathroom to the couch, I crawled all the way to the front door and unlocked it and just opened it slightly so that someone else could get in, and then crawled all the way back to the couch and sat there not able to stand, not able to walk, not able to balance. And literally this whole thing went on for maybe like somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes. And I got my second friend on the phone after that while I'm lying on the couch for the second time. And he was just finishing walking his dog and said he could come over and help me out. And fortunately, he did get there pretty soon. And then my other friend ended up calling me back. And it was literally probably about 15 to 20 minutes after this all started, while I'm talking on the phone to one of my friends, and my other friend shows up just a few minutes later, that I actually tried to stand up for the first time successfully. And at that point, I was even able to stand again. And I felt like whatever had happened, my loss of balance, my loss of strength in my legs was gone, and I seemed to be back to normal. And I didn't even know if it was related to back injury from the exercise or if it was stress related. And I'm sure this is the thing, is that like it wasn't necessarily stress related, but I'm sure that how stressed I was about that email from Carol Johnsen didn't help the matters any. It made it, if anything, more susceptible to some sort of somatic effect for me. But it is also the case that like there's no question in my mind that the stress of that email and how I was feeling about it that day in the exercise class is probably what got me to push myself harder and stressed me out while I was exercising that might have led to me being sloppy or lifting too much weight or hurting myself, whatever. But literally, it was the scariest thing in my life. It only lasted 10, 15 minutes. It's not recurred since then. I actually haven't gone to an ER, but I am going to my regular doctor tomorrow, and we'll see if I need x-rays or physical therapy or something, or I don't know. But I've never had something happen like this before, where I just literally, for about a 10 to 15 minute period, couldn't stand, couldn't walk, had to literally just crawl around my apartment on my hands and knees just to be able to get from the bathroom to the couch, to get from the couch to the door, to unlock it so someone else could come in and then get back to the couch, and was just laying there stranded on the couch for the rest of that time until my friends came in. And it was so damn scary. And I just feel like I can't live like this. I can't live with this stress. I can't live with this fucking agony. And I feel like the only thing that's going to help me is people starting to stand up and advocate for me, is people actually doing something about this abuse, people not normalizing it, people not letting it keep happen. And I don't want a pity party, and this is why I'm upset about this. I'm just speaking from my heart, I'm speaking my mind, I'm speaking what I went through. But the last reason in the world I want anyone to stand up for me and fight for me is because they pity me. I'm strong. I've survived this a lot better than a lot of people would. I've not managed to snap in a way that a lot of people would if they'd gone through everything I've gone through. I want people to stand up for me because it's the right damn thing to do, because I haven't done anything wrong, and because the actual abusers, the actual people that committed wrongdoing, are the people who defamed me, are the people in Scrabble leadership who pushed me out. And if there were any justice in the world, then they would be the ones being punished, and this community would be defending me, just like Fide is defending Daniel Naroditsky from the defamation that happened to him. And oh my God, I just don't know what more to say anymore. Thank you for listening.